Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper, and thank you so much for stopping by my channel. I'm working in my art journal today, so get comfy and let's get crafty. This is the mood board for the Artsy Trio Facebook group for the month of December, and it was created by Gina Ahrens. And it is shades of blue, a little bit of rainbow, a little bit of yellow, and I kind of focused on that odd deck out picture there on the right hand side, so check out what I did. This is a piece of mixed media paper that is about 5.5 by 8.5 inches. And I have this napkin that I purchased from Charotino, which I will link down below. And it is a reproduction of Monet's Water Lilies, which is mostly blue, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green. And I am going to use this to create the front of my art journal page. I need to separate the plies apart. It is a 2-ply napkin, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull those apart and use only the top layer. And instead of cutting off the rest of the napkin, I'm just going to fold it over to the back side of my art journal page and use the whole thing and trim down very little. I always like chintz and save, but I have yet to reuse the other half of a piece of a napkin. I will be adhering this with the Liquitex Matte Fluid Medium. I put way too much on. I forget how fast this comes out. But whatever, I am going to put a little bit of that, a lot of that, down on my art journal page and brush that around with my paintbrush and go ahead and lay the napkin down on top of it. Now, I did learn from the last time I tried to use a napkin that a used gift card is not a great thing to smooth it out with. And I'm actually not concerned about wrinkles today, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to get it on as flat as I can. I am going to keep it to the left side of that fold so that there's plenty of napkin to fold over onto the back side. And I'm just going to push it down with my fingers. And then I'm going to add a little bit of fluid medium over the top to create a better seal, but also to create a non-porous surface. Now, I don't really use a ton of other mediums on top of my art journal page, just at the very end. But it does help keep that napkin sealed down to the mixed media paper. So I am going to just flip this over now and add some more of that fluid medium to the back of the page. A little bit more, or a little bit less this time, not quite as much. Spread that around with my brush, and then I will try to very carefully fold over the napkin. Now, there was a point at which the bottom side of the back got a little bit torn up, but yeah, I don't care. It's the back and it's texture, and texture in mixed media is yummy. I will also add some fluid medium to the front. Again, that's to create a better seal because the napkin is porous, so the adhesive will go through onto the paper or the mixed media paper. And if I can stop throwing my paintbrush around, I can finish getting this all adhered down. Once I am satisfied with the amount of liquid medium I have on this page, I am going to go ahead and clean up my space off camera and then heat set that with my heat tool real quick. And then I'm going to trim it down. My first instinct was to pull out my Fiskars trimmer, and then I said, nope, go for the scissors. I have these long Tim Holtz scissors, which have the comfy grip, so they're super easy to use. But there was some concern about the napkin ripping in the paper trimmer. So yeah, it didn't do that. It still did not cut perfect. It was slightly damp still. I probably should have either left it to dry more or heat set it a little bit more. But, I had this thing going on in my brain and I just was going to move out. I also have a bit of a time crunch on things. I'm trying to make sure I have enough content to get through the next week or so because I'm having surgery and I don't know how I'm going to be feeling. So yeah, kind of made myself a time crunch there. In order to intensify the blue on this page, I am adding some archival ink to the edges. This is cobalt is the color of blue, and I'm just putting it on with a blending brush instead of an ink blending foam this time because I don't want it super intense. Mostly I am trying to create a very subtle frame and fix any places on the sides where trimming it off may have ripped the napkin and caused some of that white paper to show, like right there on the back. I think in the end, I actually ended up turning this upside down and putting the lilies at the top instead of the bottom, but it's okay. It's all okay. To add a little bit more texture to the background, I am using these Tim Holtz rub-ons. I want to use the big flourish there and a piece of that text block. So I'm going to trim them out with my scissors. You don't have to do this. I just do. I don't know. I just do. You could just take the backing off the piece you are wanting to adhere to your page, and I don't know. I find it easier to use. It's more manipulatable. It's more controlled if I trim off the pieces I'm trying to use. And then also I get to save all the other pieces for something else because, save all the things, right? So this flourish I want to put in the bottom right-hand corner. And it is going to take a minute. It is very detailed. It has lots of little tendrils and pieces. So it is going to take a minute to get that all burnished on. I will not make you watch the whole thing. But the way that these rub-ons work is you lift the top and the image off of the backing sheet and you place them where you want them to go. And this is when I decided to go ahead and flip that image and put the lilies at the top instead of leaving them at the bottom. And I don't know, I wasn't really thinking about that. I just was. So the rub-ons do come with a popsicle stick that you can kind of rub them with. And for the text, I think that works fine. But some of these other images that have more pieces and more details, I think that this little stylus works a little bit better and, quite frankly, a little bit faster. And this still did take me probably 10 minutes because I was going slow and because it's big. So I have that all adhered, and I'm going to leave the process of doing the text in, but I have sped it up. So I want a little bit of the text here in the top left-hand corner, and you can see this is only double speed, so it's not like I've sped it up like 12 times, right? The text does go substantially faster than the flourish did. I want to put a little bit of text over here on the right-hand side, but not an entire chunk. So I'm being very sporadic about how I adhere that text. And then I'm going to take the leftovers and put them back over there with that little box of text that I was a little more involved with, I guess. So here is the mood board again, just so you can see what's going on. And I want to focus on this image over here on the right that has all the blue happy faces and then the one. And the thought that kept coming to my mind is, why fit in when you were born to stand out? So I have on my computer some images, some common consent or common use, that's the word, common use images that I've been playing with in creating collage. And I found this giant sunflower, which, it's not a lily, but it's a giant sunflower, and this pinup girl. And my intent is to just put the flower right on the page and add this pinup lady to the inside of the flower. A little bit like that story of Thumbelina that my mom told me when I was a little girl. I am not going to use the liquid medium. I'm just going to go ahead and use my Tombow Mono liquid glue. This is not a very detailed or very layered page. It was a very quick page. And when I liked it, I stopped. I did not go ahead and add any more like sometimes I do because I just liked it. So I have printed this flower and the pinup girl on a piece of like 65-pound copy paper. And I have cut it out with scissors, and I have gone around the edges with a peach-colored Faber-Castell artist pit pen. And I've also added a little bit of shadowing to the flower petals where they overlap on each other with that pit pen already. So I don't need to be doing that later because I wanted to make sure that part was done before I sat the pinup girl on top of the flower. I am just going to hold it in place here for a minute and give the glue a minute to adhere. And then I'm going to add some glue to the back of our pinup girl here. She's kind of cute, has nothing to do whatsoever with the page, but she does kind of fit that whole standout thing with the idea that I had in mind when I was looking at the images for this page. All of the blues and then pops of other colors, mostly yellow or sometimes even a rainbow. But yeah, I didn't go Christmassy. This is December, and I didn't go Christmassy. I'm feeling a little guilty about that. Okay, not really. But yeah, I still need to do a Christmas art journal page. I haven't done one yet. Wow. Okay, so now I have our pinup girl in the flower. And the other part of the quote I wanted to add reads, "Your life isn't yours if you constantly care what others think." And then the bottom is going to say, "Why fit in when you were born to stand out?" I get hung up on what other people think of me too often. Now, to be fair, most of the time when I'm in a normal mood, I don't really care. But deep down, we all care sometimes what other people think of us. And part of my defense mechanism is to not care, even though sometimes it does. So I am trying to embrace that I am who I am, and I will work on my faults, and I will not worry about what other people think my faults are. Or maybe faults isn't the right word, but deficits or places that could be improved. I know that I am not perfect. I am 100% aware of that. Believe me, my kids will tell you all day long. Just kidding. But I want to focus on the parts of my life that I think need improving, not the parts of my life that I think other people might think need improving. Because I'm not even asking them. I'm just thinking I'm just putting words in their mouth. And maybe we are thinking the same thing, but I don't need to know. So I am going to spend the next year working on the parts of me I want to improve and not worrying about the parts of me I think other people might have a problem with. And I think that all around, I can be happier that way. So we'll see. I'll let you know at the end of next year. I am just going to go ahead and glue these down with that Tombow glue again. Like I said, this was a quick page. And once I got the sentiment on, there was very little, not the sentiment, the quote, whatever you want to call it. There was very little I actually wanted to do to this page. I did contemplate bringing my ink blending brush back in to add a little bit of blue over the top of that white, but I didn't. I liked how it stood out. And I felt like it kind of fit with the idea here. I did decide to do some outlining to kind of, so it does two things. It pushes it into the page, like it makes it a part of the page as opposed to something that's just sitting on top. But it also draws your eye to it at the same time, if that's not word enough for you. So I pulled out a black watercolor pencil. I tried blue and it didn't show up at all. It was just not a dark enough blue. And I figured on this dark blue, I could definitely use the black. So I just grabbed a black watercolor pencil, went around the top and the bottom and the sides, and then activated that pigment with my water brush. And I did that to all 4 strips of my quote. And see, it kind of adds a shadow, which makes the quote block part of the page, but it also draws your eye to it at the same time, which I am so fascinated how one step in a project can do multiple things at the same time. I know. It fascinates me. I probably shouldn't be so fascinated by that, but I kind of am. All right, so we're rounding down to the end here, and the only thing, I have like 3 steps left. I need to glue the mood board to the back. I need to sign my page, and I need to punch holes in my page so that it will fit in the binder I am using for my art journal pages. And I know I've said this before, but I get a little weirded out when all of the glue and paint and stuff gets wrapped all over the coils on mixed media books and stuff like that. So I went on Amazon and found some A5 size binders that are just a 3-ring binder and adjusted a hole punch to make holes in it. And it also doesn't, you don't have to worry about the bulk that way. So yeah, just, in case you were wondering. I am going to adhere the mood board with my double-sided adhesive, my ATG tape runner, and punch the holes in it. And then I will have some close-up pictures for you, and my art journal page is finished. This was not a hard project or a long project, especially because I stopped when I liked it. I contemplated adding more. I contemplated adding some more shadow and depth around that flower, but I didn't. I held it in place. So here I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see that quote and maybe some of the texture that that napkin brings. And that's it. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a couple of other videos here for you to watch, as well as a subscribe button. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up, and have a really great day.